So when we're putting it all together, essentially what we're looking at is determining with market structure whether we're trending or we're ranging and what the trend is doing. For example, we have a bearish trend here. We're looking to identify whereabouts the swings are. For example, we have this low, which makes this high, body closure above this candle. We then put in a body closure underneath this low, which makes this a protected high. So when we break this high here, we now have a new swing, right? And a new trend, okay? So now we're looking to retrace back down on our higher time frame here. This is an hourly chart. We're looking at this area for potential longs to come out. And ideally the midpoint, which aligns with our SMDR here, okay? So let's zoom in on a lower time frame chart. And now what we'd like to see is the fractal nature of price also give us a break in structure that we can get involved in on a lower time frame and then nail some trades. So on the 1 minute time frame, we see something almost identical to what the hourly time frame just gave us, right? We've got this high, this low, we trade back up, leave, trade up. You'll notice this barely even makes a movement up. We don't trade into our prior swing, right? Leaves, barely trades back up, and then leaves. This became a protected high when we closed underneath this low, right here, right? So now, when we break and close above this high, similar to what we just looked at on the hourly time frame, we're now looking at trading back into our prior zone, which is this here. And we're looking to take longs out of this. And now what we're looking for is confluence inside of that zone of areas of interest. Whereabouts did the market make a decision to not continue this downtrend? It made that decision right here, this being our SMDR. So now we've got this inside of our midpoint. We're quite happy taking a lethargic movement into here. We get failure and we get a rocket ship, right? So there's trade number one. We then create what? We now have a prior zone that's now formed here that we just left, right? This not being any protected highs or lows. We had no body closures underneath the candles here. We trade back into our zone. And then we anticipate price to leave and then break this high. This violent movement generated nothing. We need to break structure by creating a protected low and then violating it. We did not. This moved all the way down back into our prior zone. And our expectation, based off our diagram, is we have something like this. We then break above, we trade back into that prior zone. We then leave, we trade back in. This will look many different ways. However, structure is always the same. We violate it, we come back up, and we continue onwards. Creating another swing here. You'll notice this didn't trade into the midpoint of this zone. We left here, we went sideways, left, put in a low, traded higher, and whereabouts do we trade back into? We traded back into this zone here, right? You'll notice here the consolidation close to the high where the market made a decision to trade higher, and away we go. You have your lower time frame SMDR here. You have your intermediate here that was responsible for breaking the high. We trade back into it, we find support in here, and then we leave breaking above this high again. And then trading back in, as you guys probably already found out, whereabouts are we trading back into? Right there. Prior zone, and then this ends up being a rocket ship at the close of this day, right? So we're identifying trends based off of market structure. We're looking for the areas responsible for putting in significant price movement and either breaking trends or continuing them. And then we're looking for retracements back in to those areas of interests and then leaving and continuing on with the trend or starting anew. So now that we have an idea of market structure and where price should be returning to and the areas that are responsible for putting in significant price movement in the market, we're now going to start looking at objective creation and looking at when those objectives are finalized and utilizing the concept of failure in order to determine whether or not we've finished our pullback and we're now ready to trade higher outside of a zone that we've already determined important using market structure. So we're going to jump into module 2 now, which is going to focus around narrative. and we're going to learn how to create those objectives, how to determine why the market's moving higher or lower, and go from there. We'll see you guys all in Module 2.